surprisingly human.
Papua New Guinea, a land renowned for cannibalism, macabre rituals, headhunters, and bitter tribal conflict. But now, something new is ripping through the heart of this island. A creature that is tearing chunks from unsuspecting fishermen, devouring certain body parts. My name is Jeremy Wade, biologist and extreme fisherman.
Fish on!
I've spent my life searching for freshwater monsters.
Ah, those teeth!
I'm heading to Papua New Guinea to find out what has acquired the taste for one particular part of the human body. Details about the attacks are unclear. All I have to go on are a few sketchy reports from newspapers and the internet. The incidents first surfaced in the Australian press, which reported two separate but very similar fatal attacks in the Sepik River in the remote northern region of Papua New Guinea. Patrick Moe had just returned from a long day on the water. He was bathing in the river margins right in front of his house when it struck. He was hit by a powerful lone hunter, a fast swimmer with jaws like a vice that ripped and tore his flesh. Moe had a certain body part bitten off, as a result of which he bled to death. The second attack was eerily similar. Francis Sambin went to the river to wash dishes and cool off, something he had done countless times before. But this time it was to be very different. This time he would not be going home. I've tracked freshwater killers all over the world, but this is my first visit to Papua New Guinea, which lies north of Australia, where the Coral Sea meets the South Pacific. It is one of the most dramatic and untouched islands anywhere on Earth. Despite more than 50,000 years of human habitation, this landscape has changed little since prehistoric times. Much remains unexplored. New species are regularly discovered. So is the river killer a new arrival, or has it been hiding away for centuries? It is only now that I begin to realize the sheer size of this island and the remoteness of the area where I'm heading.
There's just an awful lot of forest out there. I'm used to flying over forest in the Amazon, but this is very different. While the Amazon tends to be very flat, most of it, here we're talking serious mountains and just completely cloaked in greenery. And the other thing is, in the Amazon, if you look carefully, you can see buildings down there. You can see tin roofs occasionally glinting back at you and clearings in the trees. But here, just none of that at all. It appears to be completely uninhabited down there.
These steep-sided mountains and impenetrable forests led to isolation and diversity among its plants and animals, and suspicion and bitter tribal conflict between its people. Tribal fighting still exists in the less accessible mountain regions. But right now, it is the water level that concerns me.
We're now approaching the floodplain of the Sepik River, and there's a lot of water there. I mean, this is supposed to be now into the dry season, but I'm still seeing lots of water, not just confined in the banks of the river, but spreading throughout the landscape. And the fish and everything else in the water are going to be very spread out, and it's going to make my job pretty difficult.
Rising in the central mountains, the Sepik River snakes for over 700 miles through impenetrable forest. This is one of the last great unexplored rivers. It is to Papua New Guinea what the Congo is to Africa and the Amazon is to South America. After 4 flights, 48 hours and 9,000 miles, I arrive in Ambunti, in the remote northwest corner of the country. I've never been here before, so I'm not too sure what I'm getting into. There's no roads here, so I think the stuff's coming out of the plane now, and then it's onto the water. My base for the next 2 weeks is a village deep in the heart of the forest. These tribes are cut off from the outside world. The only way in or out is along this river. Little has changed here for centuries. Their culture is rich in superstition, myths, and mystery. And they are notoriously wary of outsiders. I'm met by one of the elders. I sent word of my intended visit many months ago. Turning up unannounced is not taken kindly. I do my best to smile and look friendly, but I'm not getting much reaction. So this spirit house?
Yes, spirit house.
This was once the site of human sacrifice and even cannibalism. Now it is the place of worship and ceremony, and where outsiders are called when they visit. But I'm not too sure how welcome I am. I've been hearing stories about something in the water attacking people. Is this something that you know anything about?
Yes.
So what is happening? There are over 700 languages in Papua New Guinea, but the trade language common to all is Pidgin. They also understand a little English. The thing about Pidgin is that there are English words that are recognizable, and in the middle of that was a phrase, a ball cutter. There's something in the water called a ball cutter. And this does agree very much with the stories that I've heard. People have been coming out of the water with injured genitals. It's interesting. The first place that I've asked, yes, we know about this. There is something dangerous in the water. So is these injuries, people being attacked, is this something that has happened here? So it sounds like this is something they've heard about here, but nobody here has actually been attacked, or at least not yet anyway. And they're saying the stories, coupled with the name of this animal, the ball cutter, it is something that they are afraid of, they're very worried about. Particularly mothers are very concerned that their children are very careful in the water. For villagers living here, avoiding the river is virtually impossible. Their lives revolve around it. Now, somewhere down there is a creature with teeth sharp enough to emasculate a man, causing him to bleed to death in minutes. I've investigated similar incidents before.
Fish on! Look at that! Poisson!
In Central Africa, I caught a Goliath tigerfish, a species that has attacked and killed people in the Congo River.
What we've got to worry about now is it biting its way out.
But that is 9,000 miles away, and Goliaths are not found around here. The village elders told me that none of the native fish species would be capable of inflicting such horrific injuries. But something out there is responsible for these fierce attacks, and I've no idea what it could be. I've not been here before, so I don't know what fish I'm likely to catch. But what I'll probably do, I'll probably start off light, some light line, little hook, and a small bit of bait, and try and catch some small fish. That will give me, or start to give me, a picture of what's down there. And then what I'll do, I will try and move on to fish further up the food chain that are feeding on those little fish. And to catch the predators, well, I've got a selection of artificial lures which resemble small fish, but I might also just put a bit of dead fish on my line. I've got some bigger hooks for that, and because predators are very likely to have teeth, I've got some wire along as well. So basically I've just got a bag of bits, and I'll sort of make it up as I go along, but starting with the small ones and gradually working my way up the food chain. I've not been able to find out exactly where the attacks took place, but I do know that they occurred close to a village, so that is where I begin. Bit of coconut as bait. The villagers have told me that the fish around here find coconut irresistible. I'm fishing right in front of the houses. Two reasons really. Fish often come very close to where people are, simply because that's where people wash their dishes, all that kind of thing. Also shallow water. Fish, contrary to popular belief, tend to be found very often in shallows rather than in the deep. There's more light there, therefore there's more vegetation, therefore there's more food. And in no time at all, I get a bite. Oh! That's taken line off the clutch. Strong, strong fish. Oh! Oh! Let's have a look. Something's actually... That didn't break the line. I wasn't putting that much pressure on that. No, that has actually cut it. Something down there has cut the line. That's interesting. I was fishing very, very close to the side, and there's something down there with teeth. What's interesting, though, it actually took a bit of coconut. So you've got a vegetarian with teeth. My first piece of evidence. And now I've received word there's an attack victim in a nearby village. Could this be the clue I need? I'm on the trail of a river creature that has been attacking the genitals of fishermen. Word has reached me of an incident in a nearby village. Ramzin Tero was attacked while paddling his canoe. But his attacker wasn't a fish. It was a 20-foot crocodile. So what happened was that Ramzin was collecting palm fronds for roofing his house. And the first thing he knows is that a crocodile has actually come from underneath. He didn't see the body of the croc at all, but just came along and just crunched one end of the boat. The size of the crocodile's jaws were more or less the length of his arm. He said he could have actually put his arm right down its throat. That was the size of it. And at that point he's thinking, well, how do I get out of this? Ramzin sat it out in the tree until the croc eventually lost interest. And he was able to get away on his broken canoe. He was lucky. Over the years, dozens of people have been killed by crocodiles in the Sepik River. This skin came from a 20-foot monster said to have learned to flip over canoes. Sepik River crocodiles certainly have a history of killing. But are they the bolt cutter I'm looking for? The elders told me they doubt the native fish species here are capable of inflicting these injuries. But something did bite through my line, so I have to keep an open mind. I head out with Alphonse Mavasanye, a fisherman and crocodile specialist, to see if somehow a crocodile could be responsible for these unusual mutilations. He has brought me to the same area where Ramzin was attacked. Alphonse is actually going to try and call this crocodile to us. The splashing mimics the sound of a large crocodile moving quickly through the water. The call, that of a young one. Both sounds should attract crocodiles to us. Ramzan described the croc that attacked him as being over 20 feet long. But they kill by ripping and spinning, tearing at flesh and devouring huge chunks at a time. So it is unlikely that a large croc would only attack the genitals. But could it be a smaller one? Or is something else lurking down there?
Yeah. See the eyes just on the edge of this bit of vegetation here, about 20-30 yards in front of the boat.
Dense floating islands of vegetation. Perfect crocodile habitat.
It's right in the vegetation.
They can stay submerged for over an hour. You don't know they're there until they attack. Each time we spot one, it spooks and disappears. They seem very wary. But eventually, Alphonse grabs a baby one. So this one's a salty?
Yeah, it's the older one. It's about 1 year old.
So this could belong to the big one. This could be one of the children.
One of the children for the big one.
So the squeaking noise. What is the squeaking noise?
Call the mother.
Is it really?
Yeah.
So you think maybe a good idea to put back now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We can put it back.
I can't be certain that crocs are not responsible for the attacks, but Alphonse tells me that they're rarely seen near villages now, and both the genital attacks occurred close to the victims' houses. I think something else in this water has a taste for human flesh.
We saw one crocodile tonight. I suppose an animal about 8 or 10 foot, something like that, judging by the amount of light coming back from the eyes. But other than that, it's just been small ones. And I suppose in one sense, a bit of a relief not to come across the big one. But in another sense, I'm quite disappointed and also surprised that we haven't seen more crocodiles tonight.
Alphonse tells me that in recent years, crocodile numbers are down. And it is only in the past few years that the attacks on people have occurred. Could it be that whatever is attacking the fishermen is also attacking the crocodiles? I once caught a species of fish capable of biting chunks out of crocodiles. Find out what it is right after this. The Goliath tigerfish from the Congo River in Africa has been known to bite chunks out of 10-foot crocodiles. I'm on the Sepik River in a remote part of Papua New Guinea, 9,000 miles from home, on the trail of a creature that is attacking unsuspecting fishermen.
Blimey! Strong fish.
I can hardly believe my eyes when I see what is on the end of my line.
Oh, looks like a piranha. It has got teeth, but they're not piranha teeth. Unless I'm very much mistaken, that looks like a fish that I know from the Amazon called a pacu. And the thing that gives it away is looking at the teeth. They're not cutting teeth, they are grinding teeth. I actually had my line cut a few days ago by a mystery fish here in the lakeside. And actually seeing this now, I think this is what it could be. Although they're grinding teeth, they have got quite sharp ridges on. And I think this is what it could have been.
Unlike a piranha, these teeth are not designed for slicing through flesh.
They are primarily vegetarian. They feed on things like nuts that fall in the water. So, a very interesting catch, but I don't think this is actually the fish that I'm after. What's it doing here?
The pacu is typically found on the other side of the world in South America and doesn't belong in the Sepik. Puzzled, I meet up with Alphonse again.
I just wondered if you can tell me what this fish is doing here.
We Sepik people, we were surprised to see this fish, but we asked the fisheries people, and they said they produce this fish in the river.
What, you say produce, it was put here?
Yeah, they were put here 15 years ago.
So it's a new fish to give people something else to eat?
Yeah. Because there is no enough fish in the river, maybe this is the way they put these fishes here.
I've investigated introduced species before and know the devastating impact they can have on a river.
Absolutely stiff with fish.
In the US, silver carp escaped from a fish farm. Their numbers exploded, and they now dominate entire stretches of the Illinois River.
I actually feel the boat being buffeted as they bang into it.
The Wells catfish was moved from the cold rivers of northern Europe to the warm, rich waters of Spain, where they grew into monsters. With no natural predators and ample food, both species have run amok, upsetting the natural balance. So could something like this now be happening in the Sepik River? Word of my quest is spreading through the nearby villages. I've been told of a fisherman named Nick Sakat who was savaged by something in the river, which wasn't a crocodile.
I was walking, I was cutting the grass, then I walk out to cool my body. I was just deep of water. Then I feel something bumping onto my leg. And I was thinking, what's happening? I pulled my leg up, but it was coming again and hit my leg. It's like human beings' teeth biting onto my leg and pull my leg down to the water. Then I swim up and struggle. The pain was very big.
And then what you saw, the size of the bite, was also similar to human teeth, was
Yes.
it? So it looks like a person has bitten your foot.
Yes.
What are you thinking is down in the water?
I was thinking that maybe the spirit of the water.
Whatever is down there is not only fast and ferocious, it's also powerful. The village elders told me that there were only a handful of fish species out there, none of them capable of carrying out such an attack. I head out further from the village, along smaller tributaries. There has been so little exploration out here that new species are regularly discovered. Could it be that something unknown to science is responsible for these attacks?
There's something in the water here that's actually attacking people. So what I'm doing now, I'm fishing to see if there's anything predatory down there. I'm putting a lure on, and what that will do, that will flash and wobble, vibrate, and that's the kind of movement that could get a reflex grab. So something with teeth is likely to go after this.
I change locations and try different lures, but the result is always the same.
I'm just not getting any interest at all. If this was an Amazon lake, a lake where you didn't have lots of commercial fishing, then I'd expect maybe 4 or 5 different species. Certainly some hits, but just nothing at all. So it just points to the fact that there's not a great deal in the way of predatory fish in these waters.
Having drawn a blank in the flooded forest, as evening closes in, I head back towards the village. Each of the attacks occurred close to where people live, and the creature has clearly acquired the taste for flesh. So what I need is a bait that tastes just like human, and considering their cannibalistic past, there are many people here who know just the thing. I'm in Papua New Guinea, searching for the perfect bait to catch a creature known locally as the ball cutter, because of its liking for a particular part of the male anatomy. In the days when the tribespeople here were cannibalistic, they called human flesh long pig, because the meat tasted so much like pork. So that is what I will use.
It's obviously something that a predator would be interested in, but also with moving water here, what that will do, that will send a nice oily trail down current. So not just anything here, but if there's anything downstream, they might sniff that and move up and investigate. There he is. This looks like a pacu. This is interesting because this was on a piece of meat. So this supposedly vegetarian fish has just broken that habit.
This pacu, the piranha's vegetarian relative, seems to like the taste of flesh.
There we go. So much for the vegetarian pacu.
If the pacu are eating pork, then they could just as easily go for human flesh. So are they now taking on the behavior of their deadly relative, the piranha?
I'm thinking that maybe I might have dismissed the pacu as the possible perpetrator of these attacks too soon. In its normal habitat, the Amazon, it is a vegetarian, but it certainly has the weaponry to inflict serious damage on flesh. All it would need would be a motive. Now, if it turns out that there is not enough of its normal kind of food here, then it's going to do what any animal would do in that situation, which is to eat anything it can find in order to survive.
Where piranhas are concerned, small means deadly, but pacu can grow much bigger.
Here in Papua New Guinea, there's virtually no commercial fishing, and there's also very little under the water in the way of predators. So it's quite possible that after only 15 years, you'd find a bigger pacu living here than anything you'd find in the Amazon.
So is this yet another example of an introduction gone wrong? Especially as the attacks only started after the pacu's arrival in the Sepik River. In their native South America, there are 12 or more fish species that share the common name pacu. The one that has been introduced into Papua New Guinea is among the largest. When young, this pacu mimics the red-bellied piranha. But as they grow, they lose their red coloration and transform into formidable beasts. Pacu are armed with jaws powerful enough to crush the hard nuts that fall from trees. These jaws are more than capable of ripping through soft human tissue. If it were to resort to piranha-type behavior, this river system would be forever transformed. A vegetarian turned carnivore may be scientifically shocking, but out here, transformation is a way of life. Tribespeople turn themselves into mythical beasts and carry out elaborate hypnotic dances to ward off evil or appease the river spirits when they are in trouble. Boys all along the Sepik River are transformed into men through bloodletting, by having the skin on their chests and backs cut, leaving scars said to be the teeth marks of crocodiles. And now, if my hunch is correct, the pacu is also undergoing a transformation, from harmless vegetarian to flesh-eating river monster. Now, my focus is catching a pacu capable of killing a man. At the village, I meet up with Alphonse. He tells me that since their introduction, the pacu have been devastating the river system.
You can see this lake here have just nothing now. Everything is gone. Big vegetation and floating mud, it's gone by this fish.
So you're saying that before the pacu was here, this whole area, even in the high water like now, was covered with floating weed, floating grass.
Floating, yeah.
And that's now gone.
Just creating a more problem for our local fish also, because grass is out for the fish and the crocodile and every animal in the water.
Do the crocodiles have a problem with the pacu?
Crocodile have a big problem with the pacu now. The floating mud is where the crocodile make nest. But you see that this big lake here is no floating mud.
These floating islands are the remnants of what once covered the entire lake. The pacu are quite literally eating the native species of the Sepik River out of house and home. But it is not only the grass that they are eating.
Some crocodile actually jump out of the water and the pacu eat the actually.
Really?
Yeah.
You've seen that?
Yeah, you see all the fish from this lake.
The tale of destruction gets worse and worse.
And also the pacu eat the all small fish.
The pacu are eating fish.
Really?
They are attacking snakes as they swim across the surface.
Snakes is where water bird also.
Even water birds aren't safe.
So, but you've seen 50 pounds?
Small ducks have been eaten as they paddle around.
Duck hatching?
Duck hatching also.
Right.
So this pacu eat everything, everything.
The question is, does everything include a particular part of the male anatomy? To find out exactly what big pacu are capable of, I need to catch one. I'm going to head deep into the flooded forest, where it is said hostile spirits reside. I'm fishing the Sepik River in Papua New Guinea, on the trail of a river monster that has been inflicting terrible injuries on men's genitals. My prime suspect is the pacu, a vegetarian relative of the piranha that has developed a taste for meat. So far, I have concentrated my efforts close to the village, but only caught small specimens. So now I'm changing tack and heading deeper into the flooded forest. Sepik River people are extremely superstitious and believe that hostile spirits reside in the middle of these forests. For them, this is a menacing place.
What we're doing is we're paddling very, very quietly through this area of flooded trees here. And there's some signs of fish. Actually seen some fish actually chewing the ends of the weeds. And some fish actually swirling underneath these nut trees. So it's just moving slowly and just casting close under the trees.
There are signs of pacu everywhere. The sound of fruit hitting the water alerts them and they race in to eat it. Another catch, but the red coloration tells me that again it's a juvenile. Maybe I have to go further in. Although I find myself drawn into local superstition, I'm more concerned about what is lurking among the root tangles. The heat in here is overwhelming, and the trees cut out any breeze, so the humidity is oppressive.
This is very different from fishing by the village. I mean, there, it doesn't matter if you make a noise, they're used to the noise. Here, the only noise they are listening for is the sound of falling nuts. Anything else other than that is going to scare them away. I mean, personally, I really enjoy this sort of close quarters fishing where you're relying on stealth to get close to the fish. You're not sort of making a lot of noise and just casting a long way. And the only way you can get a bait into these areas is by getting in close.
Another catch, but this time the pull on the line suggests a larger pacu. Not wanting to put my hands anywhere near those jaws, I use a long-handled grip to lift it out.
They're getting bigger, getting bigger.
The fish's muscular body makes it capable of bursts of speed. It could attack and make a quick getaway without being seen.
But that's not the size that I want to catch. I want to catch 2, maybe 3 times the length of that. But that's good to see anyway.
As evening rolls in, I head back to the village. Word has spread of my investigation, and a fisherman has come to see me. His name, Francis Sambin, is familiar. As he talks, I realise that this is the man the newspapers claim was killed by the bowl cutter.
The stories that I heard, he didn't survive the encounter, but I'm very pleased to say that in reality, although this was a pretty terrifying experience by all accounts, he did actually live to tell the tale.
Although the rumours of Sambin's death were exaggerated, the attack did leave him hospitalised and in agony. The fish was large and incredibly powerful. The bite was not a clean cut like a piranha's, but tore and ripped his flesh, and he struggled to fight it off. This echoes the story told to me by Nick Sakat.
I pulled my leg up, but it was coming again, and pulled my leg down to the water.
This giant relative of the piranha is, as I thought, growing to quite a size, and with teeth to match. I begin fishing again, now fully aware of the strength of this creature. But the difficulty will not be bringing it in or even landing it. What worries me most is getting close to those jaws. I'm on the Sepik River in Papua New Guinea, fishing for pacu, a relative of the piranha responsible for attacking and mutilating the genitals of fishermen.
Yeah, bigger one, bigger one, bigger one. There it is. Look at that, it's really big, it's really big.
This could be the one I've been looking for.
I know there's snags on the bottom, so I'm trying to keep it away from that. Yeah, just see it. This black water. You can just see it down there. Yeah. Oh, yes. I need to just keep it away from stuff on the bottom, but there's also people's houses in the water. Just need to keep it away from that. At the moment, it's in open water, that's good. I'll get it well and truly tied out before I try and do anything with this one.
Then I need to examine it without losing a chunk of my hand.
I don't want to rush it. Right. Oh, and that actually, just take a look at that. As I lifted it out, that straightened the hook as I lifted it out. Oh, now this is interesting because I've just been seeing small ones of these. That's a different animal from what I have been catching. This is more of a size. Ooh, So the coloration on this is actually quite different from the small ones. The small ones have a very dramatic red belly, which on this, so that's sort of faded away to this rather light orange. But the biggest difference is... Gosh, very muscular fish. Just gave a bit of a kick there. This is all muscle here, so it's a very strong fish, very powerful. But I'm just trying to look at the business end here. Just look at that. On the small one, they were quite delicate teeth. On here, I mean, those are real crushers. What this fish normally feeds on in the Amazon is seeds and nuts, and they often have tough cases to be opened. So these teeth, basically, they're nutcrackers. This thing really does look like a giant piranha. But the teeth on this, not designed for cutting, but for crushing and tearing.
Seeing those teeth reminds me of all the stories I've been told about the attacks on people.
It's like human beings biting onto my leg.
Those teeth really do look uncannily like human teeth. And to be bitten by those, I think that would be a very creepy experience. It would be just like being bitten by a person.
I didn't experience the type of pain until now.
They say that when a piranha bites you, when it actually bites, you don't know it's happening because it's such a clean cut. But this would be a very jagged, messy tear, and I think you'd certainly know about this when this bit you. And if these fish hear something splashing in the water, they don't go heading the opposite direction like other fish. They come heading for that sound with those teeth bared.
I'm left in no doubt that the pacu is the bull cutter. A vegetarian turned man-eater. An outsized piranha with a taste for human flesh. An alien invader running amok, dominating entire stretches of the Sepik River.
The river people now accept that the bull cutter is something they have to live with. It's just a graphic example of the unintended side effects that you can get when you start meddling with nature.
This nightmare may seem easy to dismiss as someone else's problem, far from our own backyard, but perhaps not. Pacu have now turned up in 19 different states in the US. So far, numbers have not exploded, nor has anyone been attacked. But just as in the Sepik, things can change very quickly. And once the genie is out of the bottle, you can never put it back. Want more of the world's wildest, strangest and most terrifying freshwater horrors? Visit our website at animalplanet.com/rivermonsters.